Let's briefly talk about challenges for the future. We see emerging nations becoming the engines of growth. How does that affect Baker Tilly?
Well, of course, we all talk about China in that respect, and India, two of the most powerful countries from a business point of view now today. And I know we've got the BRIC countries like Brazil and Russia and so on. But if one looks at China and India, these are going to be powerhouse organizations. And I mean organization in a corporate sense. If you look at China, and much has been written about their foreign exchange reserves and what they're doing, they're going to have some issues. As a country growing at a tremendous pace, they're now seeing high inflation, which is what they've never seen. We have to remember also that it's a one-party country, communist country, operating in an international capital society. That brings its own dynamics and issues. If one looks at the accounting profession, and I look at compare it with the banking profession, when Lehman Brothers went down in September 2008, there was one Chinese bank in the top 10 banks globally in market capitalization terms. Today there are 5. Now, I've been to Beijing 4 times since Christmas, and I've met with the Minister of Finance and others. They expect their Chinese national firms to become international. As the Chinese corporates, as they are doing buying up large businesses around the world at the moment in Africa, anything to do with resources, the Chinese corporates are looking at this. The Chinese authorities want Chinese accounting firms to audit those firms. So that's going to be a challenge. I've heard it said in China they expect in the next 15 years 5 of the top 10 accounting networks in the world to be Chinese driven.
Will they be adequately trained?
Oh, that's a very good point. I mean, the auditing profession in China is only 15 years old. The accounting profession goes back to Confucius. But the auditing profession has a lot to learn. But of course, they're very keen to learn. Baker Tilly International has a relationship with the Ministry of Finance and the Chinese Institute of CPAs to take on young graduates from the Chinese universities into our firms internationally and help them train. And I think that's a two-way street. It's important for us to demonstrate, I believe, to our Chinese colleagues and business contacts that we want to assist in this development process. And in the short term, of course, that will benefit us in taking Chinese companies to market and auditing Chinese companies. But we also have to recognize that, as I said, in the years to come, that will then be taken back into China. But it's not something we can ignore as an accounting profession.
Do you have members from China?
We have one firm in China, in line with our policy of one firm in a country. It's number 9 in China in size. It has about 3,000 people. It's in 15 cities, the major cities, Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Hunan, those sort of places. And it's one firm, which is unusual. The Chinese accounting profession is itself structured around networks. So we're very pleased with that. They joined us in September last year. We had a very grand signing ceremony in the Great Hall there. So no, we want to play our part as they do in the evolution of their profession, which of course will affect ours.
Do you have an office in or a member firm from Singapore?
Yes.
Japan?
Yes.
Malaysia?
Yes, everywhere. Yes.
Everywhere in Asia. Asia's an important region for you.
I'm going to Taipei in 3 weeks' time, where we have 35 of our managing partners from Asia that come together for a 2-day, let's call it a summit. But again, to talk about the issues for the region and how they can enhance the new brand of Baker Tilly International and also their own firms. I then go on to Malaysia, and then Manila, Vietnam, and then home. And in each of those countries, we would have a firm that would be in the top 7 in their respective country. As far as we're concerned, we are happy to stay with the one firm policy, but of course it means that those firms have to have a strategy to grow, because otherwise, mathematically, we will not achieve our global objectives of becoming, a larger network as well.